Hello everybody and welcome to an episode of 27 filled with hatred and vitriol. Well, I had one of these cars, a 107 series Mercedes SL, and it was my most hated car. I really couldn't stand it, and there was a few reasons for this. Partly it wasn't really the car's fault. So reason number one is that it was really, I got conned when I bought the car. There was a lovely fluffy old gentleman with a daughter who had Down syndrome, lived in a little cottage out in Middlesex, and he just seemed like such a good guy and so genuine that I didn't even bother PPIing the car. When I got it back home, I found that it had rust in lots and lots of places and that he'd bodged quite a few things. So obviously my relationship with the 107 did not start off well. That is true, and that's not really the car's fault. But apart from that, once I'd finished fixing all the things that were wrong with it, I actually started driving it. That's where the problems really came up. It was absolutely horrible. It is absolutely horrible to drive. We'll take it for a spin soon and I'll explain exactly why. Mechanically, they're actually pretty solid cars. Rust is the real enemy with these. So if this video isn't enough to dissuade you from buying one, it might be useful for me to point out a few of the worst affected areas. Okay, so firstly, Mercedes, in their incredible wisdom, actually decided that it would be a great idea to have the drains from the water coming in through the top of the bonnet here into the scuttle. It drains all the way down and right through the sills into these little drain holes here. And what happens is that piping just corrodes, and at that point, once it's gone and it's rusted through, the water just drains straight into the sills. Here where the filler cap is, there's actually a drain pipe, but it gets blocked. There's the heating box here, the drain holes on that also clog up, and you get rust on that, and that is just quite a big job to get to. Another weak area is the jacking points, the boot area. So yeah, the boot floor goes under the spare wheel. It's just over the front headlight, which acts as a collection point for all the mud and water thrown up by the front tyre. Let's go. We have to be fair here. There were things that were really specific to my own SL. I was cheated when I bought it. It had lots of things wrong with it. There was lots of rust. We did not get off to a good start. What really angers me about these though is they have such a good reputation. Mercedes build quality, built like tanks, you know, never go wrong, miles and miles, all this sort of stuff. It's just not true. What is true, it is built like a tank in the sense that it's really, really heavy. I mean, it's unbelievable, this thing. And yes, the controls are nicely damped. They got a nice feel to them, the indicators, all that stuff. It feels quite good quality. In terms of rust though, they were terrible, horrible design. The steel was not good quality. It goes all over the place. I would say at least as bad as an Alfa of the era. However, the steel is thicker, so obviously it does last a bit longer, but good quality they are not, and good design as well. No way. How can you have the drains for the water going through the sills made of thin metal? I mean, it's unforgivable. It's terrible, terrible design. But let's get down to the nitty gritty. How does it drive? And incredibly, this one is even worse than the one I had. A 380 SL, so it was the 3.8 litre V8 aluminium block. This is the 2.8 V6, so it's actually quite underpowered. And I'm sorry, I know I'm gonna make lots of Mercedes enemies here, but it's just horrible. I know it's supposed to be a cruiser, it's not supposed to be fast. The accelerator pedal is really heavy, and I think they've done that as well, because if it was light, you'd realise that pushing it up and down just makes no difference to the car's forward motion. It feels like a tank that's powered by a little pony or something. It's not nice. The steering is probably one of the most imprecise systems that I've ever come across. It's unreal. It's like steering a boat, and that's not where the boat anachronism and comparisons end, really. Body control is pretty much the same as that as well. It's so wallowy, it's just all over the place. Now, I understand this is a cruiser. It's not really supposed to be an amazing amount of fun. It's beyond that. It's not just that it's not fun, it's not just that it's a cruiser, it's just horrible. The automatic gearbox is perfectly adequate, and I think it's 4 gears that this one has. The early ones had 3, later cars had 4 gears. A bigger engined car would definitely be a bit better than the 280 that I'm in at the moment. But in terms of the car itself, I can really find very, very little to recommend this. Let's have a quick look at a period commercial, just to give you an idea of how these were actually marketed.
The Mercedes Benz 560 SL Coupe Roadster. Is it the car you wanted above all others because of its mighty V8 power? Or its blend of quick reflexes and sumptuous comfort? Only one thing is certain. You will have the driving experience of your life.
It's just one of the worst things I've ever driven. Incredibly vague steering, unresponsive engine, good ride, but really wallowy, almost makes you feel a bit sickly. The other huge bugbear I have with these 10 Series SLs is that they are incredibly thirsty, and they're all thirsty. The big engined ones are a little bit worse maybe, but even these, the 280, because it's so underpowered, you kind of have to use the engine. They use up so much fuel. I don't mind that if the car is actually designed to do that for a reason, if there's some performance involved, or if you're actually driving quite fast or really pushing the car, that's totally fine. But with these, you can be driving it around with a completely light foot, crawling around like a snail, and it will still use unbelievable amounts of fuel. I just hate that. I actually thought that perhaps when I came out and reacquainted myself and drove another one 10 years down the line, which I think is roughly what it is, that perhaps my opinion would have softened, that perhaps I would have realised that it wasn't as bad as I thought, but I really hate it as much as I did before, maybe even more. Again, I apologise to all you Mercedes guys and SL guys who love these. I'm really sorry, but I just can't. It doesn't work for me. I realise I had a bad exposure to my own personal car as well, but it's not that it's an intrinsically terrible car. Of course it isn't. It's simply that they have a reputation to live up to, that people really do hold them in high esteem, and I think that's where it really falls down for me. It doesn't tick any of those boxes. The quality isn't that great. They go wrong just like any other car. They're not very good to drive. They're okay comfort-wise. They don't sound, well, the bigger ones sound better for sure, the V8s, and they definitely do sound better, but they don't sound particularly good. They don't drive particularly well. It's not my kind of car, I'm sorry. Thank you very much for watching. If you like the video, and I'm sure not many Merc 107 SL owners will have liked it, please do subscribe, please do leave comments. If you do have a 107, put some comments down, tell me why I'm wrong.